They are not the cyclists, are they? They are. These are the cyclists. Jan? Zij zijn de cyclists.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I extend a warm welcome and my thanks for joining us here today. My name is Nikki van der Drift and I'm the Chief Executive of the International Bomber Command Centre in Lincoln, UK. The IBCC was opened in 2018 to recognise and remember the million men and women from 62 nations who served and supported Bomber Command. It is now the only place in the world that records each life lost by name, all 58,000 of them. It aims to preserve, protect and share the heritage of the 32 years that Bomber Command operated to protect our freedoms. I'm now delighted to introduce RAF Digby Station Commander and man responsible for much of the pain, Wing Commander Neil Hallett.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow cyclists, good afternoon. I am that infamous Wing Commander Neil Hallett, Station Commander from RAF Digby. On Sunday the 12th of May, a team of 14 cyclists and support crew began a very important individual journey from RAF Digby in Lincolnshire, just south of the city. Over the next few days we would cycle 300 miles to tell a story of incredible bravery, teamwork and commitment. The heroic achievement of the 617 Lancaster crew, led by squadron leader Henry Dinghy Melvin Young DFC, would go down in history and help change the course of the war. A true demonstration of bravery, teamwork and commitment. It is important that we remember their story and keep their memory alive for many years to come. Gone, but certainly not forgotten. As serving Royal Air Force personnel, we are incredibly proud of our heritage and are keen to take the time to explore and understand the role of the aviators that have gone before us. As you can see from our uniforms, some of us have served on operations around the world, delivering global security alongside our allies and partners, and some are at the very beginning of their exciting careers. To the RAF, personnel are our greatest asset, and the Royal Air Force empowers its outstanding people to bring their very best selves to work. In return, the RAF offers unparalleled experiences and a career like no other. And I would suggest cycling 300 miles is one of those exciting opportunities and something that we will not forget anytime soon. This morning we visited the graves of the crew of Alpha Juliet Alpha, AJA, to pay our personal tributes and respects. Each member of the cycling team represented an individual of that crew, researching their stories to understand how they were selected to join 617 Squadron, a brand new squadron picked specially for this raid, what training they went through, and just to try and reflect upon some of the most important challenges that lay ahead. This is one of, for the Royal Air Force, the most iconic raids of World War II. Being here today, stood shoulder to shoulder with you and some of the relatives of that crew is incredibly humbling, and we are honoured and grateful to take part in the ceremony. This has been an incredible experience and an individual journey for each and every one of us. As Station Commander of RAF Digby, I feel an enormous sense of pride stood alongside my teammates, both past and present, and to Dinghy and his crew, I say simply, Paradua ad Astra. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I'm delighted to ask Jan to tell his story. It's over to you, Jan.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm going to tell you how we get involved in everything. So, in memory of the crew of Lancaster HAJ 617 Squadron, this memorial is unveiled on 18 May 2018. This Lancaster, after a mission on the German Ruhrgebiet, was hit by German anti-aircraft fire on its way back and crashed not far from here. All 7 crew members lost their lives. More than 7 years ago, together with my daughter, we took the initiative to realize this memorial. We are often asked how we got involved in this. However, this cannot be explained in a few sentences. It's a built-up awareness over many years that those who have lost their lives should not be forgotten. I was interested in the history of Second World War from a very young age, but 48 years ago, exactly, someone gave me a book and photos about 617 Squadron. This was the first time for me to get in touch with the history of the squadron. After that, I started to learn more and more about the Royal Air Force and 617 Squadron. Because of the history and all aspects of this squadron, I became more important to me the years that followed. My daughter also took a special interest in this squadron from a very young age. In the 1990s, she exchanged letters with a 617 Squadron veteran from New Zealand, was Les Munro. Soon we knew that Mel Viong and his crew were buried in Bergen Cemetery. Since then we have been visiting the cemetery regularly and placing flowers at the graves. Together with my daughter we went to Woodhall Spa in England for the first time in early 2000 for the 617 Squadron Association reunion weekend. It was an honor for us to meet and talk to the veterans and attend the commemorations. Inspired by the history and what this squadron meant to military aviation history and the importance that those who lost their lives should never be forgotten, in 2016 we started making plans to realize a plaque for Mel Viong and his crew. We also established a foundation for the purpose in 2017. Thanks to many donations, this memorial was unveiled on 18 May 2018 in the presence of the relatives of the crew who lost their lives on the spot we are standing today. We hope that through this memorial, or whenever people visit the cemetery, that they will take a moment to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
Really delighted to welcome Geoffrey, who is Dingy Young's grandson, nephew. It's very complicated, and we are incredibly honoured because he's flown here from Arizona with his son Charlie, who is the spitting image. So if you want to see whether Simon got it right, later on ask him. He's going to be so embarrassed. I'm so sorry, Charlie. But get him to stand next to it because he is the spitting image. Geoffrey, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Belinda, so much for this. It's an odd thing. We're here to commemorate loss of life, and I'm thinking about the lives that have been touched by my uncle and by his crew, and what a wonderful way to commemorate their lives to be here today. But I want to first thank Jan and Macy for the care they have taken of the graves over the years, the thought and inspiration to establish the foundation, to have this memorial dedicated. It was a gift for us to come in 2018. Of the 7 crew members, 6 were represented. And as Macy says, we are a family in some way. And so the Ibbotsons are here again, the Ibbotson family, excuse me. It's lovely to see them. And I'm just so touched to be able to be here and give my thanks to Jan, Macy, and everyone in North Holland and Castricum who's been responsible for the establishment of this memorial, for keeping the memories alive, for celebrating the courage of the crew, and how it's touched so many people. And to the crew from Digby, thank you so much for what you've done. It's a wonderful way to commemorate the sacrifice, the endurance, the strength, and dedication that crew had that night for you to come this way. And I'm touched by that. Thank you so much. My uncle, just very briefly, of course I never knew him, but he touched other lives as well. My mother was the youngest of 3 children. He inspired my aunt to become a doctor. She passed away. She went and served in India. She was a doctor with Mother Teresa, where she died in India. My mother, it was rare in those days for women to become doctors. She went to medical school in London during the war, only because men were off at war, because women often didn't serve. And she became a doctor, went to California, raised 7 children. I'm the middle of the 7, and had a rich and full life. But she was inspired by her brother early on to pursue that. His life has touched my family. My last name is Stur, but the Young family as well. My cousins wish they could be here as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for the IBCC for this project and for bringing us here today. Thank you.
Hello, I have a speech from Belinda Brown, who sadly can't be with us today. My connection to the crew of AJA is through my parents Fred and Jean Seal. My mum was Gordon's cousin and my dad a next door neighbour of Gordon's when he lived in Castle Land Street, Barry. The house that Gordon grew up in was a Victorian-style terraced house in the Barry Docks area of Barry. He was brought up in a very close family community with the relatives of the Yeo family, living in a radius of 500 metres. The closeness of the family must have been apparent when Auntie Ada received the telegram that Gordon was missing in action. In May 2018, Roy Noble from the Radio Wales interviewed my father, aged 94, about his time in the RAF with 70 Squadron and his connection to Gordon. I would like to read snippets of his interview. Well, Gordon lived at 54 and I lived with my grandmother at 52. I always remember Gordon as a schoolboy playing in the street. He worked in a draper's shop, John Jonas's. Roy asked my dad how he felt when he heard the news about Gordon's death. Everything shocked you. It didn't matter who it was. I had a few friends who have gone. I think about them, but what can I do? I can't do anything for them. I can only think about them and keep them as a good friend and a memory. Poor old Gordon's mother and father, they never got over the loss of Gordon. We owe some sort of debt to the Dutch people for their kindness, the way they have looked after the graves, grass cut lovely, lovely flowers and nice monuments there. It was so good, it makes me think about it. When you consider they flew from this country to bomb low dams at 60 foot in total darkness, you have to take your hats off to them and say, God bless you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Hooray! Hooray! Shun! behalf of our Air Force, standard! Hey!
Flyby was orchestrated with a little bit of help of our General Drossen. Thank you so much. And it was an honor for him to do this for 62nd Squadron and all the beloved family which is present here today, and the members of 650. Thank you so much, Norma, for being here and organizing this. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I thought these men were Salto planes. These are apparently new ones on board.
Where is it? Nee, Den Haag.
Ja, maar dat is redelijk ver. Nederlands hier met de eerste.
Nee.